the heart of the whispering jungle, where the leaves chattered and the rivers giggled, lived an elephant named Elfie. Now, Elfie wasn't just any elephant. He was a gigantic, tremendous, wonderfully wobbly elephant. His ears were like giant floppy fans, and his trunk was so long he sometimes tripped over it. But the biggest thing about Elfie wasn't his size. It was his heart. It was a huge, warm, super-duper helpful heart. Elfie loved his friends more than anything. There was Squeaky the mouse, who was so small you could mistake him for a fuzzy berry. There was Hoppy the frog, whose leaps were legendary. And there was Flutter the butterfly, whose wings shimmered with all the colors of the rainbow. Elfie always wanted to help them. The only problem was, well, his bigness. One sunny morning, Squeaky was trying to get a juicy mango from a high branch. He'd jump and jump, but the mango was just out of reach. "I can help," trumpeted Elfie, his voice making the leaves tremble. He lumbered over, full of good intentions. "I'll just give the tree a little tiny shake." Elfie wrapped his super long trunk around the tree and gave it what he thought was a gentle wiggle. But for Elfie, a gentle wiggle was like a jungle earthquake. Whoosh! Not just one mango fell, but all the mangoes. They rained down like a sweet, sticky storm, burying poor Squeaky in a mountain of fruit. "Oops," mumbled Elfie, as a tiny voice from under the pile squeaked. "I think I've had enough mango for a year." Later that day, Elfie saw Hoppy the frog looking sadly at the big pond. "What's wrong, Hoppy?" he asked. "My favorite lily pad," croaked Hoppy. "It's floated all the way to the middle of the pond. I can't reach it." "No problem," boomed Elfie with a giant, cheerful smile. "I'll make a wave and push it back for you." He backed up, took a running start, and sploosh, Elfie jumped into the pond. But it wasn't a little wave, it was a tidal wave. A wall of water washed over the entire pond, sending Hoppy's lily pad not just to the edge, but flying right out of the water and landing on a very surprised turtle's back. The turtle, startled, just blinked slowly. "Well," said Hoppy, dripping wet, "that's one way to travel." Elfie's ears drooped. "Sorry," he whispered, feeling a bit glum. Elfie wandered through the jungle. Soon he found Flutter, the butterfly tangled in a spider's web, high up in a thorny bush. "Help! I'm stuck," cried Flutter, her beautiful wings trapped in the sticky threads. "I'll save you," declared Elfie, his determination renewed. This time, he was going to be careful. He tried to use the very tip of his trunk to gently poke the web and break the strands. He leaned in closer and closer, his eyes crossed in concentration. He was being so delicate, but then, a chew. A tiny bit of pollen from a nearby flower had tickled his nose. Elfie's sneeze was not a normal sneeze. It was a hurricane of a sneeze. The thorny bush exploded, sending thorns and leaves and web flying everywhere. Flutter was free, but she was sent tumbling through the air, finally landing, dizzy but safe, on Elfie's head. "Thank you, Elfie," she giggled, "but next time, maybe just a little puff." Poor Elfie felt terrible. He sat by the river, his giant reflection looking back at him sadly. "I'm just too big and clumsy," he sighed. "Every time I try to help, I just make a bigger mess." Just then, a loud rumbling sound echoed through the jungle. It wasn't an earthquake, and it wasn't Elfie's tummy. The ground shook, and all the animals looked around in fear. From the top of Rumble Rock, a huge boulder, bigger than a hippo, had come loose. It was rolling down the hill, straight towards the little village where the animals had their homes. "Run!" shouted Squeaky. "It's going to crush everything." Hoppy was frozen in fear, and Flutter zipped around in a panic. The boulder was picking up speed, crashing through bushes and snapping small trees. There was no way to stop it. But then Elfie saw it. He saw his friends in danger. He saw their homes about to be flattened, and something inside him clicked. His bigness, his clumsiness, his strength. Maybe, just maybe, this was the moment they were made for. He didn't think, he just acted. With a trumpet that shook the sky, Elfie charged towards the rolling boulder. He planted his huge, sturdy feet firmly in the mud. He lowered his big, strong head, and just as the boulder was about to crash into the first little mushroom house, thump, Elfie met the giant rock head-on. The ground shuddered. Dust flew everywhere. For a moment, everything was silent. Then, as the dust settled, the animals peered out from behind the trees. The boulder had stopped. It was pressed firmly against Elfie's head, unmoving. Elfie grunted, pushed with all his might, and slowly, inch by inch, he rolled the massive boulder away into a deep ditch where it could do no harm. The jungle erupted in cheers. Squeaky, Hoppy, and Flutter rushed over to him. "You did it, Elfie," squeaked Squeaky, climbing up his trunk. "You saved us all," croaked Hoppy, doing a happy dance on his foot. "You're our hero," chirped Flutter, landing on his nose and giving it a tickle. Elfie blushed, a big rosy blush that spread all the way to his floppy ears. He looked at his friends, and he looked at his own big, strong body. He realized that sometimes being big and a little bit clumsy wasn't a problem at all. Sometimes it was exactly what you needed to be. From that day on, Elfie was still the gigantically, tremendously, wonderfully wobbly elephant. But now, everyone in the whispering jungle, especially Elfie himself, knew he was also a hero, and his heart, if it was even possible, felt even bigger than before.